Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I have 7 more customizing tips for you. You might have seen my really old video where I gave 7 customizing tips, and it's very outdated. Not outdated in the sense that it isn't true, but outdated in the sense that I can give a lot better tips now. So here's some more tips I've learned from customizing for 6+ years. Number 1, know your sculpting material. When I first decided to get into sculpting, I went with Neatitite? Basically the green stuff that you see on customs before they're painted. It comes like this in 2 parts and you mix it together and then you can sculpt with it, and within about a day it should dry. You want to use equal parts of it, but if you want something more sticky and malleable, you would want to use the yellow side more, and if you want something that will harden quicker and is a little more sturdy, you want the blue side. I also use Neatitite because it's very stretchy and flexible, and you can definitely make some shapes that you wouldn't make with a stiffer clay. Personally, I went with Neatitite because I saw more people using it and I assumed it would be better, but I think it's a little bit harder to get into, especially if you're new to sculpting. Another popular sculpting material that I see is called Epoxy Sculpt. Epoxy Sculpt is a little more beginner friendly because you do mix in 2 parts together, but I heard it's a little less sticky. I've never used it myself, but I've heard that it's a little more lightweight and cheaper. So all I can give my personal review of is for Neatitite, and I like it a lot, though it does take a little bit of time to get used to. Number 2, using wire for structure in sculpting. One mistake that I made early on in sculpting was not using wire for pieces where it mattered. My main example is my custom Beatrice, who has wings, and for some reason I didn't think it'd be useful to put wire in the side and stick it onto the wings. Basically, while shipping the custom to the person who bought it, the person messaged me and said that one of the wings had broken off. I felt really bad and they said it was okay, but I do not want to make that mistake again. Especially for sculpting that's going to have little contact point with the pet, I would recommend using wire to help it stand in place. This is an example of something I definitely should have finished sculpting by now, but I'm recreating the tail of this whale because it came without a tail. And while this one does have a lot of contact point with the pet, I do want to put in wire to help the tail structure when I put on the little end pieces. For this particular one, I use sculpting an armature wire, which is very sturdy and bends a lot. It's a little hard to see, but here you can see that it bends very well and is really easy to shape. In the past, I've used this jewelry wire, I believe it's for, and it's not as easy to work with because it doesn't bend and stay in shape as easily, so I'd recommend getting some armature wire. Number 3, different tools are for different purposes. Of course, the number 1 tool in customizing is a paintbrush, but you might want to use some other tools as well. A few years ago, I picked up these dotting tools, and as you can see, I've used one of them quite a lot. These are especially good for making the little white dots and eyes. Obviously here it's a heart, but I still use a dotting tool for that. Dotting tools will make a more even and round shape than you would get from a paintbrush. But that being said, doing details with dotting tools can be really annoying sometimes. It makes the paint a little more clumpy because there's not many bristles working, it's just one metal stick. In the past, I've used dotting tools for eyeliner, but I will stand by using a paintbrush for eyeliner because that is a smooth line. And for that, you're going to want to know what brush you're using and what shape it is to help you get the shape that you want to get. I picked up some new brushes because my old ones are really gross, and you can see here, it's very pointy. That's definitely going to help in getting that thin, clean eyeliner line. Some other examples of tools I've used for customs are toothpicks to do the date on the bottom because I find that it's less clumpy than the dotting tools, as well as a toothbrush to get paint splatter on this custom. Number 4, using Pinterest to find mood boards and color schemes. This has definitely helped me out when I've had art block in the past. Finding just a beautiful color palette will help you more than anything ever. For example, I found this color palette and I made this bird from it, and I love it so much. You can also find mood boards on there for things like color or fruit or neon or any theme that you would really like. I would recommend just making a folder for all of these in Pinterest because I just go there whenever I need custom inspo. Number 5, find a sealant that works for you. For basically every single custom I've ever done, I've used Matte Mod Podge. Again, this is a custom I used it on, and I like this like flat look with a little bit of shine. I also don't feel much stickiness with this one, which is what I really want. I would recommend not using glossy Mod Podge or any other glossy finish because it kind of takes away from the entire design of a custom because you can't really see it because it's so shiny. And just in personal experience, I found glossy Mod Podge should be a bit sticky, so I would not want to put that all over my custom. Instead, I use Sculpey Glass Glaze. I use it to accentuate small things like the eyes and the nose on dogs and cats. I've seen other customizers use spray-on sealants before, which give a more uniform and smooth look, but you should try some out and see which one works for you. Number 6, picking the right eye color. This is something that LPS as a brand have struggled with for a while because why do 90% of pets pets have teal blue eyes. I get it's a pretty color, but come on, let's get some variety. Anyways, for customs, I recommend using an eye color that will help your custom stick out. Obviously, you might be going for a look, or you might be painting a character that you made or someone else made, but if you're doing your own custom and just trying to pick an eye color, I think it's good to go with something that will stand out a little bit more. Not to use this custom again, but this is kind of like a rainbow theme, and the one color I did not use for a rainbow theme is purple, so I used it in the eyes. For eye color, you might want to go with something that you used a little bit on the custom before to help it look a little more uniform and tied together. Like in this custom here, who has a plant on her head, she has green in the eyes as well. Or these customized that I kind of went crazy on, not gonna lie, where I used 3 colors and blended them together to get this sort of aurora lights looking look. Or like this custom, who has only black in the eyes, but I didn't use black anywhere else in the design, so they stand out a little bit more. There's no real science to painting LPS eyes, but play around with a few colors and see what you like. And number 7, paint brand or old paint. When I first got into customizing, obviously I didn't know I was gonna do it for this long, so I just used my mom's old paint that she had. However, this paint was older than I thought, and it was very sticky and a little bit hard to work with. Sometimes it left a tacky feeling, and if I had any dust on my fingers, it would stick to the paint, which made a whole other mess. So I bought some new paint in the same brand, and it has been a lifesaver. Instead, it leaves a little bit of like a chalky feeling, which has no stickiness at all, which is awesome because it is so frustrating to get dust stuck in your paint. I have had many a custom that has had dust ruin it. Especially for fully black customs, you would want to get a paint that is not sticky. That being said, choose a paint brand that will work for you. You might want different things in your paint than I do. Maybe you want a little more stickiness, I don't know. Also, using cheap paint doesn't mean it's bad paint, it just means it's different paint. And depending on your skill level, maybe it's better to work with for you, or maybe it's not. I'm very lucky that I have the paint brand that I like and it works for me, but maybe it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. I've seen people use Apple Barrel or maybe higher brand acrylic paints. I use this brand, DecoArt Americana. I get it at Michael's for about $3 to $4 a bottle, which could be expensive if you're painting things on a larger scale, but I'm painting a little plastic toy, so you know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you have any more tips to share with other people in the community, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will hopefully see you guys soon. Bye bye!